Merry Christmas! I hope everybody's had a wonderful Christmas and hopefully you will have a prosperous new year. Today I am going to make Zhoominin Bakwezhgan. It is a pudding. Back a number of years ago in Biigtigong First Nation, the chief proclaimed today as Zhoominin Pudding Day. Zhoominin is raisin in Ojibwe. Bakwezhgan is actually, the noun is flour, and anything made with flour, dumplings, puddings, bread, spanek, is Bakwezhgan. So hopefully we're gonna enjoy this. It's quite time consuming. It's a dumpling that you steam in water for a few hours. But the very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to burn some sugar and with some oil, and that's going to take some time. It probably is going to get smoky in here. Usually I like to do it outside on the barbecue or something, but on other people who don't want to use it will also use molasses. But I'm going to go with the traditional method and burn some sugar with a quarter cup of sugar and about the same amount of oil. You can use lard or butter. I'm just going to put a bit of oil in here to get it going. Once the sugar is really brown, what we do is add some water, cool it. That's your liquid. Okay, I'm using extra virgin olive oil, a quarter cup of that. You can use lard, you can use butter, you can use anything. All it is just to help get the sugar moistened and burnt. So while I do this, after it's nice and brown, I'll let you have a look at it, because I am going to have to put the fan on. Otherwise, I'm going to have the whole house all smoked up. I'm using a heritage rock frying pan. The best frying pan to use it is actually a cast iron frying pan, but I prefer not to use cast iron on my glass top stove. A lot of people will just use a Teflon frying pan. And if you notice my back of my spoon, so this is my Zhoominin spoon. I'm always burning sugar with it. A wooden spoon is better. You're not going to have the risk of any of the plastics melting, etc. And or if you're using a Teflon pan, scraping with a metal spoon. We'll come back after this is nice and brown, and I'll show you how I liquefy it so that we can cool it. As you can see, this is really nice and black and very, very smoky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it off to the side, and then I'm going to add some hot water or warm water, because you have to be careful that that doesn't scald you. I'm kind of done burning the sugar for this Zhoominin Bakwezhgan, and I'm going to add some warm water. I want to make sure that it's good and hot, otherwise everyone knows what happens when you pour cold water into a hot pan. So you want to eliminate all of that splashing all over the place that I have to clean up. So if you notice, it's very, very syrupy and very, very black. So this is to color and to taste. If you get it too burnt, then it's going to give your dumpling a burnt taste. Not hot enough yet, that water. One thing about these glass top stoves is it retains their heat for so long. It's not like you shut it off and it's done. Oh, it's boiling. So it looks like a candy. Burnt toffee. Looks like burnt toffee. Once this is all cooled, this will be part of the wet ingredients with the to be mixed in with the flour. A lot of the times, I will make this a few days ahead of time and leave it sit in the fridge, and then use it for whenever day I decide to make a dumpling. I mean, it is only sugar and water and a little bit of oil, so it'll last for a while. This will take a couple of, at least a good hour to cool, so that I can add eggs and milk and vanilla, etc. into it, which I'll give you the whole recipe when I start making it. However, the reason why you let it cool is you don't want to cook your eggs. And if you want to avoid all of this here mess that I've made, just use molasses. It'll work exactly the same. Add a cup of molasses to your dry ingredients when you're making your recipe. So this is basically homemade molasses. I'll probably cool it in the fridge. I could put it outside, the whole frying pan outside, like I've done in the past. It's good and cold and snow out there, but we'll see. Well, we're going to let this cool, and I'm going to get the other ingredients ready, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Hi, okay, we're back now. What I've done, well, we were offline, is we cooled the burnt sugar mixture with some hot water, and then I put it outside because it was faster to cool it. And now I moved it from the frying pan into this. It equals to 1 cup. To that, I am going to mix about a cup of melted butter, since I did not use a lot of oil to burn the sugar. Then 3 eggs. This is all our liquid mixture. We'll mix all that up. And it was cold enough so my eggs did not cook. Okay, the dry ingredients is 4 cups of flour, 3/4 cup of sugar, because there is some sugar, this is a little bit of taste in there, and a cup of raisins, a heaping cup, because I like a lot of raisins in that. And by the way, Zhoominin means raisin in Ojibwe. We are going to put in a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm not really too fond of nutmeg, but I much prefer cinnamon. So we're going to put a nice big teaspoon of cinnamon and a half, 1.5. 1/4 cup or 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And we're going to sift that all up. Now this is the basic normal ingredients that the traditional dumpling uses, and because raisin in Ojibwe is Zhoominin, and that's why we call it Zhoominin pudding. And I've already explained what Bakwezhgan is, and the noun is flour, and anything made with flour, dumplings, bannock, bread, etc. is Bakwezhgan, we could call it. Now, because you can variety this recipe however you want, I am going to add cherries, because I like cherries and because I have them, and it's kind of like Christmassy, so I'm going to put a bit of those in there. And I'll be adding this, adding the wet mixture to the dry mixture when all said and done. I'm also going to put about 2 cupfuls of vanilla. This is something that traditionally we didn't have, but it sure adds a nice flavor to it. And if you notice how dark that is, that gives it the good coloring. And I may add canned milk as I'm going, if I need more liquid mixture in here. So right now this is a 4 cup of dry ingredients plus a 2 cup of liquid ingredients. And as I said before, a lot of people will just use molasses to make the color dark, but I much prefer the burnt brown sugar. It gives it a different kind of unique flavor, and not everybody likes molasses, so. And I'm not sure if I told you this before, but today is December the 28th, and it is Zhoominin Dumpling Day down in Biigtigong. So I'm sure that everybody is making a Zhoominin dumpling. We actually used to have contests where everybody would be at home and they'd be making their pudding, and then they'd bring it to the community center and everybody would get to try everyone else's. There was a few judges. I've never won, but nonetheless, you sure enjoy eating it. So we are going to add milk to this because it should be able to be poured, and when it's getting to a proper liquid form, we are going to pour it into a bag, or actually a rag, that I've got around a bowl. Actually, it's a strainer, and it'll be poured in there. We're going to tie it up, and then we are going to steam it for a couple of hours, actually. Or it's really boiled like a dumpling. So you have to really work a little bit to get all of this mixed up so that you don't have little bits of white from your flour on your raisins. So maybe it is a whole can of milk with 4 cups. Whatever, if you used only half a can, you could use the other half to make a vanilla sauce to pour over it. Tastes good. Roy used to always make that like that. Actually, the milk kind of lightens it too, because it was pretty dark. Actually, okay, so I think we've pretty well got this very mixed up, and I could actually use the whole can of milk. There's probably just a little bit here. I might as well just use the whole can and mix that all up. In the meantime, I'm going to ask my helper if he'd put the water on. So I have a pot ready, and I need to get at least about 2 inches of water on it. We also need to have a plate at the bottom. Okay, we don't want a lot because I want it to boil. It should be going into hot water as it is.
This much?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Now we're going to put a plate on the bottom, just a regular old saucer that you don't care if it cracks or breaks. So far these old dishes have been working well for me. And we just stick that in the bottom of the pot. It's just a prevents the dumpling from being right onto the metal. Now we're going to pour this in here. And the bag has been wet. Usually it makes it a lot easier for taking it off. That way, if you had any sticky, it doesn't stick as much. Chuck that in there. Get some string. Butcher's twine. If you don't have that, just cut the end of your piece of rag and wrap that around. Now you have to make sure that it's good and tight and there's no ends sticking out. Otherwise, as your dumpling expands, it'll be pouring out the tops or the sides or wherever. One little twist always sort of works, and then you can tell where it is. You notice I'm leaving a little bit of room at the top that's not all exactly there, and that is to help it expand, because you have to realize that there is 4 teaspoons of baking powder in here along with that sugar, and flour mixture. So the trick is getting it out after. What I do sometimes is I spray it with Pan. So this is it. This is what it looks like, and it's going into the pot. So we're gonna stick it in there, and it'll grow to the size of that pot in all likelihood. And we're gonna cover that, and we're gonna let that boil for 2.5 hours, roughly, and we'll come back and check it. One of the things you have to make sure that your water does not boil dry. So I'll put a cover on it. And that's it. The rest is clean up and waiting, and this is going to be so good, and we'll see you in a couple of hours. Have a good day. Okay, folks, welcome back to Zhoominin Bakwezhgan Day for Biigtigong First. It's been a couple of hours, and I am going to take this dumpling out of this pot. It's very, very hot. And then we're going to unwrap it. Oh, my scissors grew some legs, but that's typical around here at Christmas. Before that, your scissors grow legs, your wrapping paper grows legs, walks away. Throw that in the garbage. And We hope that it doesn't stick too bad to the rag. Cover it up and flip it over. Ta-da! That's it. I'm gonna paste some butter on here. And this is it. This is a steamed dumpling. And it's technically pudding, really. It's supposed to be a Christmas pudding. But nonetheless, this is what it is. Zhoominin pudding. The 28th day of December, officially from Biigtigong First. So if you liked and enjoyed this video, it will be on our T-Bay Adventure channel. Please hit like, subscribe. You never know what else I could come up with my husband and me. We have adventures and whatever else. And of course, now that it's ready, because it's his channel, our channel, but he gets to have a taste of it. And what we'll do is we'll cut some up. Do you want to taste of this there, Mr. Harwood?
I would love to.
It's very, very soft. It actually is like a pudding. You could put butter or you could put a vanilla cream sauce on. So we'll put some butter on it. Oh, we'll put some nice chunks of butter on it. Very, very hot. Do not burn. You may want to cool it off a bit. Oh.
I need a fork. Like you say, it's hot, so.
Yeah, you could normally eat this like a cake later on. So as you can see, there's some raisins in there, a little bit of cherries. Some people put walnuts to make it more Christmassy, but it's
that's very, very good.
Delicious. So we're going to go and
eat the rest.
Enjoy this. And I need to put some away for my daughter because it's their favorite. You know, I can make chocolate chip cookies and all that other stuff, and they'd rather eat this. So long. Bye. Till later.